Singapore, the country that we live in, we breathe in, and that we love more than anything else in the world. This is none other than our beautiful home. And yet, we are not doing all we can to ensure a clean and green future for ourselves in this great nation we call home. But before considering global climate change, we should consider the steps we as individuals and small groups can take. Which brings us to our topic at hand. There is no place like a green workplace. Or really? So what exactly do we define as a green workplace? A green workplace is defined as a workplace that is environmentally sensitive, resource efficient, and socially responsible. To be environmentally sensitive is to understand the consequences of how one's actions would affect the environment and consider means to minimize it. To be resource efficient would relate to how one consumes resources to minimize any wastage while achieving maximum productivity. Last, to be socially responsible is for one to be fully aware and accountable for one's actions, whether socially, ethically, or environmentally. All green workplaces includes efforts by companies to encourage their workers to conserve energy, recycle, as well as reduce waste. Exploring measures for a green workplace. A green workplace requires implementation of certain measures for a company to be more environmentally sensitive, resource efficient, and socially responsible. The common measures for most companies are to encourage employees to recycle, setting up of recycling bins at designated recycling corners in employee areas and at workstations makes it easier to spot. Smaller bins could also be placed directly at employee workstations to make it easier for them to sort their own trash. Encouraging offices to go green by switching to green office supplies. This is one switch that is easy and simple to do. Materials such as copy paper and toner are available in recycled materials. Setting up a policy for turning computers and office equipment off at the end of the day and set standby timers for all office electronics. Did you know that people all around the world waste roughly $1 billion in electricity every year in just computer use? Running computers and office equipment overnight is not only a big drain on the environment, but also on the company's bottom line. Training everyone to turn off their machines at night can save companies hundreds of dollars every year. Releasing a new policy memo once green practices are set up can help to document the changes as well as what is expected of all employees in order to support the new practices to maintain a green workplace. And now, moving on from the common office and your average Joe, we will now look at the clean and green practices that CapitaLand Mall Asia encourages within their malls. Since 2009, CapitaLand Mall Asia has supported Earth Hour through the actions of turning off the mall's facade and non-essential lightings from 8:30 PM onwards for extended hours throughout the night to show their commitment towards protecting the environment. Every first Friday of the month, the air conditioning temperatures in their malls and workplaces in Singapore and Malaysia are turned up slightly. This reduces electricity consumption and greenhouse emissions. But wait, there's more! CapitaLand Mall Asia staff are also included to provide suggestions to continue with their green culture. To keep up with creating a greener workspace, CapitaLand Mall Asia staff are encouraged to come up with new green innovations that would help improve productivity and reduce resource consumption. An example of an implemented staff innovation was the enhanced parking guidance system. This individual LED and ultrasonic sensor parking guidance system are placed above parking spaces in shopping malls to indicate availability of lots. A green light would indicate an empty lot, while a red light indicates otherwise. This idea has been implemented island-wide all around Singapore and is regarded as one of the greatest inventions in reducing the crazy search for free lots in car parks. This simple idea itself saved about 20,000 kilowatt hours of energy a year, as well as reducing carbon dioxide emissions by 11,190 kilograms. So what are the reasons behind people not adopting green practices within their workplace? Inconvenience, lack of support from management, and having no incentives are examples of few reasons as to why people are not readily adopting green practices within workplaces. For example, carpooling to go to work or using public transport for travel may not appeal to some, as it requires prior planning or needing to leave for work much earlier than is needed when travelling by their own private transport. Lack of support from the management is also a large factor, as higher-ups usually lead by example for the employees to follow. If a manager does not care about green practices, employees would therefore be nonchalant about the impact to our environment as well. Lack of incentives is also another factor, as employees are not rewarded to go green. The additional effort to go green is not rewarded with anything, and hence there is no push for the employees to go green. While creating and implementing measures for a greener workplace, these business practices should be sustainable, which means that measures should have long-term renewability and is within our current capacity. Practices should also be eco-friendly, which means the methods used should not be harmful to the environment. Last, practices should also be ethical, which means that it should fulfill a social responsibility. In other words, there should be minimal impact on the environment and surrounding community on a global or social level while carrying out these green practices. So far, everything seems straightforward enough. Or is it? Knowing what measures to implement are simple enough to follow, but what are the intangible costs associated with having a green workplace? For such measures to be fully integrated, there has to be strict adherence to certain practices. As such, some employees may feel that they are forced to do something out of their comfort zone. This may translate to displeasure and questioning of the authority of higher-ups. As most of such troubles that the workplace face are only during the initial stages of implementation, offering help to those who may not be adapting to the switch would slowly ease the employees into following green practices and not follow their destructive routine of consuming products without any regard as to how it would impact our environment in the long run. Some employees may very well just be averse to a green lifestyle, while others may need a little time to adapt to a different way of doing things. Knowing that, there are many positive outcomes in which a company can stand to gain. These outcomes include improved employee morale, stronger public image, positive financial bottom line, increased consumer choice, as well as increase in brand recognition, all of which stands to contribute to the company not only for the short term but for the long term as well. Having a green workplace would definitely help out our environment in the long run, although companies would still have to consider the costs that are associated in converting green. However, long-term success of these green measures is entirely up to the attitude of everyone involved, and every individual needs to play their part for our environment to be clean and green once again.